Hi, everybody. I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead here with Carolina Prepper 7 and Steve, the Contingency Prep rock star. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Hey, great, Brad. Good to
Great.
see you, Brad.
Yeah, we're here to talk the Homestead Nation. We're basically chatting about all things that relate to the self-reliant life, and you have a unique perspective that we want to share with the people that are listening so that they can help themselves become better reliant on themselves and build community all in the process. So my first question for you would be, at what point do you remember where there was an instance or something happened to where you decided, well, I really need to change my lifestyle. Things are different than I thought they were.
Well, Brad, that was quite a while ago, because I can remember in high school back in the 80s finding out about mutually assured destruction, which was a Cold War strategy for ensuring that basically nobody won. And at about the same time I found out about that, I had read the book Alas, Babylon, which, if you've read it, is just about the most perfect post-apocalyptic type novel that there is out there. It's the granddaddy of them all. As I was just a high school kid, I came up with a basic plan to go to my uncle's cabin in the Catskills of New York with my shotgun and whatever ammo that I've managed to squirrel away, canned food that I've squirreled away, medical supplies that I've squirreled away, and that was about as far as I got. As I got older and the situation changed, I always stuck with the self-sufficiency style of thinking, which I had always been involved in scouting and survival courses and bushcraft type things, which aided me quite a bit. But my life experience, as with all our life experiences, definitely gave me perhaps a compass direction to go towards this. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps and was deployed overseas.
Semper Fi.
Beirut, Lebanon, back in the day. I was then involved in a federal agency SWAT program for 14 years. And then I found myself jumping on the security contractor bandwagon here after 9/11. I have spent nearly a decade living overseas and seeing the country from the outside looking in. I have also seen how quickly a society can crumble to dust, and how quickly human life can go down to valueless. So this has given me real insight into, wow, what I don't want to happen to my friends and family. Now, while I'm on my soapbox, I'll tell you that along the way between here and now, I always kept to it, but I didn't get serious. I can remember the Y2K scare, which might seem silly now, but we just didn't know what was going to happen when the new millennium came up with the technology. So at the time, I had about a month's worth of supplies and all my firearms loaded into the car, and I had a plan. At the time, I was out in West Texas, and my plan was to drive into one of the national forests where I'd scoped out a campsite in New Mexico and sort of ride it out. Here we are at the present. I've returned home after all these years, and many things have changed. We now refer to this country, our country, as the homeland. And that, to me, just rings a propaganda bell in my head, such as Der Fatherland or the motherland.
Right.
And when do we start with this? When I left, Department of Homeland Security was a very small, very new agency. Now it is a massive bureaucracy that is gradually injecting itself into all facets of our life. And I am talking, okay, if you're a frequent flyer, you are now used to being poked and prodded, and you accept that as the fee for boarding the plane. But what we're gradually seeing is a slow and steady expansion where they're saying, can we do this at train stations? Can we do this along the highways? Can we do this at sports venues?
Mission creep.
And yeah, and it reminds me of riding around Kabul and hitting police checkpoints, which I had to break out and show my passport, and that's perfectly fine in that environment. I had to justify why I was there, why I was armed, why I was doing what I was doing, and that's fine for a emerging market post-conflict type place, but that's not America, and that's not the America that I remember. So without further ado, when I decided to come home, I decided to come home to a place that I had chosen as my retreat or my homestead, and make a go of it there as opposed to chasing a job around the country. And that's how I got started. And I had planned for years and just walked in the door with a sea bag full of clothes into a house I just purchased and had decked it out with the food, the ammunition, the medical supplies, water catchment, etc., and garden and chickens, which is my latest, quick as I could. Boom, there. I'll get off the soapbox. Ran a little long.
No, that's okay. You know what? Brad and I were talking. That's one of the great things about this format is we can just keep going on it and really dig into a subject. But one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on, early on when I first started my channel, you were the first guy to reach out to me. And so when we were talking in a previous video about building community, I just wanted to give you a shout out back and say thank you, because that was one of that was the first time I had anybody else in the YouTube community really shout out and try to help build a community. And as it turns out, we're both from the Northeast. We both kind of relocated down here in the Carolinas, so we had that in common. But I found that your videos, by the way, we missed you for a little while. You disappeared on us, and I missed your content, but I'm glad to see you back at it. And I see that if you haven't seen Contingency Prep's channel, please go over and check him out. He's a firearms expert, and that's one of the things, even though I know we can't demonstrate the techniques of firearms in this format, and one of the things that came up from the viewers that have watched prior episodes of Off-Grid Nation and Homestead Nation was from some female viewers, and they said, we're interested in firearms. We understand that from a prepper standpoint or from a homesteading standpoint, it's important to be secure. We're just not sure where to start, and frankly, we're a little intimidated by just walking into a gun store with a bunch of guys and feeling like dummies. What would you say to somebody like that, brand new out of the box? And this could go for guys and girls. There's a lot of people that have been growing up to fear firearms, and I'm sure there's millions of people out there that have never even touched one. What would you say to somebody brand new that really is interested in taking that first step?
Good question. Really good question. Now, first off, I honestly believe that if you're a prepper without firearms, and God bless them, I know I've got friends that are preppers in Boston and New York, and they just can't have them. And if you're a prepper without firearms, someone with a firearm is going to take your preps. That's the bottom line. You've got to be able to defend what is yours in a situation that is without rule of law, period. Now, with that said, firearms are important. You need to learn, and YouTube is a great way to learn, to reach out and find gurus that will sort of push you in the right direction. Now, I say gurus plural because you can make the mistake of keying into one person and just absorbing everything that they say and finding out that perhaps it wasn't right for you, because everything is tailor-made with a firearm. I can't say, Brad, you need an AK, gosh darn it, and here it is. Here's your AK. Yeah. but essentially it might not be right for him. I've already taken a lot of, or a little bit of flack for saying that the best possible firearm for a prepper, if you can have only one, is a shotgun, just because of the versatility. Everybody is so geared up to having a black gun, having an Uber assault rifle.
Being tactical.
Yeah, tactical.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just not right for everyone. I've done some shooting courses with women who, by the way, are the best students because they come with no preconceived, this pretend thing that, oh, I've got to display that I know something about firearms. They show up as a blank slate, and they understand, the women understand the need to be systematic with your training, with your safety rules, with your drills, etc. I have seen women show up for these courses with a big honkin' 45 that some ex had recommended to them, is you got to have a 45, gal, and it's just not the case. Okay, let me get on another soapbox here about semi-automatic handguns, and it's great, and that's what I carry. But I have muscle memory. I have thousands of reloads. I have thousands of malfunction clearing of all the different types of malfunctions that occur with a semi-automatic handgun. If you have a malfunction with a revolver, guess what? You just squeeze the trigger again. That's all there is to it. That's muscle memory built in from when you were a little kid. Mm-hmm. So it's already there. If you are a person that is not going to train up to that level of tons and tons of training, I would recommend a revolver for your first handgun. It's not as pretty, cool, black, what Bruce Willis used or whoever the latest action guy is, but it does serve a purpose. It's slightly more accurate. You can reload quickly with speed loaders. You can draw it quickly. It's fine. It's good for a firearm. So take a different vein. I want to stick with the biggest thing in a gunfight. Yes, it's important to be accurate with your firearms, but skills and drills and continuing to fight are what's going to save your life. This is going to allow you to fight another day. Being able to identify a malfunction and quickly clear it. Being able to quickly transition from your long gun to your handgun. Being able to quickly reload that handgun, understanding that you've got to move, shoot, communicate, and you've got to combine all three and keep moving, shooting, and communicating over and over again until your enemy lies dead at your feet. Boom. There it is.
So Steve, can I just jump back in here
Sure.
and dovetail in? That's great advice, but let's bring it back to that. Let's call her a 40-something, brand new to prepping, brand new to firearms, but no, she wants to get into it. Sounds to me like you said 12 gauge if you can only have one gun. But if we're going to back up here to short gun, by the way, 12 gauge may or may not be the right first gun for a young lady coming in there.
Absolutely.
But let's say we're going short gun here. We're going sidearm. What caliber? You said 45. Probably stay away from a 45. I'm guessing for a new person. Is 22 too small? Or is something in between there 9mm? Is that where you're looking to go if you're brand new looking to purchase a firearm?
Okay, I've got. It depends on your level of commitment. All right, if you may actually live in a place where you can, I think there are a few jurisdictions where you can have a 22 handgun, but it starts to get ticklish after that. 22 handgun gives you the versatility of being able to plink at small game. Now, is the 22 your weapon of choice against a person? Absolutely not. Have I used this in that type of situation? Yeah, I've taken a course where they emphasize the 22 handgun because in many types of the world, that's all that you can readily carry for a bodyguard. So you just use a different technique and you use a lot more rounds going down range. All right, so 22 is an option. As a defensive handgun, though, I would prefer something that was 38 caliber to 9mm. Everybody's got their favorite. It's what their grandpa shot. It's what they've got the most experience with. I've shot a lot of different types of calibers on a lot of different types of courses. 38 is a good defensive round. What I'm saying is commitment. If I know Carolina Prepper is committed, and I know he's made this humongous jump into prepping and is going to follow up with the skill building. Heck yeah, go ahead and get your Glock or whatever you're going to get, and I know you're going to pursue the training and you're going to build the muscle memory. There might be some people out there, the 40-something brand new prepper, that knows that she's not going to have the money for the training ammo, that she's not going to have the time to get to the range. That would be a good person to recommend a 38 to, and let her train on it to her level of expertise and feel confident with it, rather than, okay, what was I supposed to do to clear this malfunction?
Right, right.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does.
Well, let me ask you something. I want to take it in a slightly different path. So, Steve, now with the climate that we're in the country right now, my question to you is: do you think it's a good idea to get a concealed carry permit or not? What are your thoughts?
It's a really good question, Brad. I can basically only answer it for me, and in my case, I have not gotten a concealed weapon permit just because of the privacy issues. Carolina Prepper can tell you that there was a case in New York State where someone had managed to obtain through public information all the listings of gun owners in several counties and publicize that.
Yeah.
Because up there you have to register everything. My state, South Carolina, is attempting to push through a law that says that if you're legally allowed to carry a firearm, you can in fact carry it concealed, at which time I will begin to carry a concealed firearm. However, my state, South Carolina, also has very good handgun laws on the books currently, which means that when I get in the car, I can toss my Glock in the glove box and go about my business, and I know that it's within, as far as I am from my vehicle, that's as far as I am from my handgun. Is that optimum? No, it's not optimum. But judging the way the omnipotent way that the government knows everything now, and the way civil liberties are eroding, I am not too interested in having my name on a roster somewhere. So let's hope that South Carolina continues their trend in support of civil rights, in support of privacy, in support of gun rights, and passes that bill which will make an honest citizen like myself free to carry a firearm concealed for my own protection without any kind of license.
That's a great perspective, and I want to go back and talk a little bit about how you chose your homestead location. I mean, you said that you lived overseas for, I think you said over a decade. Was it 12 years?
No, it was actually 9.5 years. So I tend to say a decade.
All right. So
yeah, and how I chose it.
Go ahead.
How I chose it. Now, number one, I had lived in this area about an hour or two away from here back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I knew that I really enjoyed the area, so that's important too. I'm not going to randomly pick a mountaintop in Idaho and move there because I don't know anything about it. Mm-hmm. I did a video on this. Please check it out because it was a huge process. When I had spare time on my hands at the time I was in Iraq, and in the evenings I'd sit there and go through listings on Zillow, Zillow.com, I think it is.
Yeah.
And one of the first places, and I love the beauty of New York State, and I grew up there. And there's one county, I don't know if it's Herkimer or Hamilton County, I think Hamilton County up in the Adirondacks, that is the least populated county east of the Mississippi. And that's one of the places I looked at. Now, New York State, as Carolina Prepper can tell you, boom, so many things quickly knocked it out of the running. Taxes, insane, stupid laws, prices, snow, yeah, cold weather. So that eliminated that. Some of the things that I considered, to keep the answer somewhat brief, I looked at different places all around the country. Number one, some of the things that I looked at is distance from population centers, location to in regards to evacuation routes such as interstates, location of nearby nuclear plants, rail lines, wind flow from possible nuclear targets or from nuclear power stations, et cetera, and so on, plus the climate, plus the ability to block off my area with field expedient roadblocks if needs be.
Wouldn't it be nice if they had that? Wouldn't it be nice if they had that information on Zillow? Like you can, you know, it says that school neighborhood, that sort of thing, how close you are to shopping, and then, how close you are to nuclear fallout. And that sort of thing.
Would the layout of the website change? All of a sudden it goes from bright and happy blues to camo?
Exactly. Yeah. So I really did put a lot into it. The growing season was a big part of it. Is here I can have almost a year-round garden. In fact, this year I'm going to try it for the first time. As soon as my summer crops come out, I've got my pumpkins and collards going in, and then some winter wheat I'm going to try. Wait and see that video, because I'm literally...
Steve, you did a whole video on how you chose your location, right?
Yes, I did. It's on.
Do you remember the name of that video?
Let's see. If you give me a sec, I can bring it up.
I just wanted people to go back in because I thought it was fascinating when I watched that video, all the thought that went into choosing a location. And I get that question a lot. How did you find your location? And I guess they're asking, logistically. I went on Realtor.com. I was very interested in how one goes about choosing their location, and I haven't come across a video that was more detailed than yours yet. So I'd like to encourage people to go over to your channel and check that video out before I throw it back over to Brad.
Well, as he's looking for the domain name or the intro title to that video, I actually do have a question. I want to. You're a firearms instructor. You are an expert. What would you say would be, it may be too hard to whittle down the one thing, but what would be the top tip or tips that you would give someone who is just new to say, remember this, always do this, these are the important things if you want to get better?
Okay. First, I've got to say that safety first. You've got to live the 4 general safety rules, and I have seen or been involved in investigating more than a dozen negligent discharges. Some of them had horrific results. Some of them resulted in death. Many of them resulted in life-changing injuries. You have got to learn safety with the firearm, and this will also help you in alleviating what fears you have. If you come from the Northeast, my gosh, I've got friends still in the Northeast that believe that a firearm will literally go off, that it will be in your closet and it will go off and just kill someone. So you learning the safety rules and how to live them will alleviate a lot of your fear of firearms and get you very familiar. That would be the very first thing. Next, you want to master the fundamentals of firearms, of marksmanship, and you want to incorporate those in your day-to-day shooting and work on the specific parts, everything from stance and grip and breathing and follow-through, trigger control, etc. You need to master those. But above all else, once you have gotten that out of the way, you want to work on your drills. And your drills include everything from drawing your firearm, whether you keep it concealed carry, whether you keep it in your glove box, is being able to safely draw and employ that firearm consistently, anytime. Even if someone is playing loud music, beeping a horn, screaming, you're stressed, you do those drills. And being able to reload your firearm under fire, understanding the concepts of move, shoot, and communicate. Drills, skills and drills.
That's awesome.
Well, I would like to take an opportunity again to say thank you for coming in. And we could go on like this for hours. And again, we're just scratching the surface. I feel like we're not doing any one subject justice. But I definitely wanted to get you on here and just talk a little bit about your experience. You bring some unique experience to the table, being that you're in the military, you're former military, you spent time overseas. And if you had to pick one thing, all these preps are going into one thing, and we're going to wrap it up after this. What do you think the most likely scenario is here, and what kind of time frame do you think we're looking at for the proverbial stuff to hit the fan? Or are you just leaving it open-ended and just doing all you can between now and then, whenever it is, or whatever it is?
I like to leave it open-ended predominantly because I believe in self-sufficiency. So anything that I'm doing is getting me ready for whatever can come, whether it be unemployment or whatever happens. However, I do see this great demise of our financial system, and I know you and Brad are going to talk a whole lot more about this, and I've given you some requests of mine that I'd like you to talk about. It's slowly sliding. And on a personal level, it's sliding. When you look at the average American and they can't lay hands on $1,000 to save their soul, to on a national level. And I could see us quickly becoming like the Waltons, for all you young folks watching. That was a Depression era TV series where basically...
Night, Grandpa.
Job boy.
Yeah. Where basically one or two people had a job in this huge extended family that lived together in a house and made do as they could with the garden, with the old mule pulling the plow, with cutting wood to make money. I could very easily see that slide coming, and that's the best case scenario. Anarchy in the streets, yeah, I could see it in a heartbeat. Look at Hurricane Katrina. Look at how that played out and how bad it could be. And what's beyond that, too, if it turns out to be a temporary disruption, EMP would be a massive temporary disruption, but it would be essentially temporary, meaning a few years recovery. What would come after that? It would not be what we have today. And that's the scary part.
Brad?
Well, I'm just grateful for you sharing your knowledge with us. I do think that we, like Tommy's saying, is just scratching the surface here, and we definitely would like to have you on again if you're willing. But thank you so much for your time. Please, everybody, don't forget to comment on these videos. Ask us questions. What is it that you're interested in finding out? And we will find the experts like today. Tell us, what are your gun questions? We'll ask them. So anyway, in summing up, what would you like to say there, Mr. Carolina Prepper?
I'd like to just say that I want to address specifically the young lady that made a comment about being intimidated going into a gun store. Believe me, you're not going to be the first person that walked into the gun store and didn't know what they were talking about. They love teaching people like you when you walk in there. So don't be intimidated. The first step is to walk in and ask as many questions as you can, and then follow Steve's advice. And after you get your gun, train, take courses, take classes, and develop that muscle memory.
Absolutely. I agree. And if you walk into that gun store and they're not willing to talk to you, they don't want your business to go elsewhere. There's 90% of people that are experienced with firearms that are, I shy away from the word expert, but they're experienced with firearms. They want to teach. They want to share that information, and they want people to be encouraged and not discouraged.
Excellent talk all the way around, guys. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe, pass the video around, go to the channel, go to Contingency Prep, and sign up, subscribe, and check out his videos. There's a lot of great information on there. And so as we say goodbye, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Have an amazing day, guys.